Was it a dog?
Here it comes. Oh, my goodness. In your life, have you seen anything like that?
They're going to go nuts when he hits this thing. And now it comes down to one putt for the win. Is it his time?
I can't look at Teddy right now without cracking up.
Well, you
Welcome back.
muted me for no reason.
I had to mute because I was cracking up laughing at your comment that may or may not have made it to the intro of this podcast. Speaking of intro, this is the Pitchmark Collective. We got TL2, JL, and Cameron here to talk about the Tour Championship. The President's Cup teams are finalized. We decided that I was just going to kick this off conversation and say, hey, does a Tour Championship suck? And I'll go ahead and go first. I think it does for the most part. I think the Tour Championship is closer to when it comes to viewership and interest from people, given timing, given the setup, the format, all that. It's closer to the Barracuda Championship than it is to maybe a major, which it needs to switch. It needs to be closer to a major when it comes to overall vibe, overall viewership, overall excitement. Overall, it does suck, in my opinion. That being said, the timing couldn't be worse. You have it on college football opening weekend. What are we doing here? That doesn't make any sense. We have such a long golf season. Why aren't we moving this to be a week before? What are we doing? Justin, what are your thoughts on the Tour Championship overall?
I thought it was so boring. I love sitting down and watching golf. I love listening to it. After Scotty pulled a Scotty and just came out and shot 6 under the first round or something like that, 5 under. He went out and shot 65 the first day. I was like, no one's catching Scotty. This is dumb. Right. We gave the best player in the world a head start, and he doesn't need a head start. He's proven it that he'll come back and beat people when he's 4 behind going into Saturday. But there was a few things that I thought about this. One, is it because the course played so easy, right? They made changes to that course and it was cool to look at, but they were just destroying it. There was no US Open carnage, which I think we all want. I think after this year being so low scoring, take a look at how many tournaments this year were 15, 20. For them to get 30 under is just insane.
No, I like a good birdie fest.
Yeah, but
even 20 under par, take away his 10-stroke lead that he started with. The even players. 30 under par is just what are we doing here? They should be closer to a major in a sense of setup, difficulty, and excitement than it is.
So is it the course or is it the setup? That was my thing. Could we take the format and move it to a course, which they're never going to, because PGA Tour is so in bed with Coca-Cola and all the sponsors in Atlanta for it to be there. They're footing the bill, right? But so horribly hot, right? It's just like Memphis. Memphis was a shit. Memphis sucked. Guys sweating out of everything. No one's having fun there. It was miserable. BMW Championship was way better because just the way that it was set up, it was hard. You got out of the fairway, you were screwed. I want to see that type of stuff happen. And if it's not the change in the course and we're going to change in format, then let's bring back match play and let's watch a true playoff happen, right? I want to see first 2 days stroke play, and then if you're the top, let's top 15 or top 14 or something, come back, and one's playing 14. And then on the final day, it's kind of like what we watch for the USAM. I think that would be that'd be badass. And it'd also get people to watch more of the USAM as well, because that's kind of the same format.
Before we get too in depth in what we'd like to see it as, let's get Teddy's visceral reaction to the Tour Championship.
There was no, I'm sorry if it came across that I had this hot take. There was no crazy thing. It was just It's tough because I mean you already touched on it. Like I don't know why you would think you can compete with football, especially opening weekend of college football. Like that's just awful. Either get it done earlier or stretch it out like how it used to be, where it was January to December instead of like this wraparound schedule.
Hmm.
You you still you can't compete, but you can at least grab some viewers on some. I'd say most weeks once you get into September, October, or not September, but at least October and November for competing with some of those football games. Opening weekend of college football is like, I mean, Cam, you and I were talking about it before we started recording. Like, we watch college football and we've been waiting for a year for it to come
Yeah.
back. So obviously, we're going to watch that before anything else.
I'm not even like a college football nut like a lot of people are. And even I was like, yeah, I'm watching college football. Like, what are we talking about? The casual fans could be more interested in college football than a casual fans would be interested in
Yes,
the
and
tour
golf.
championship of somebody who's starting the tournament 10 under par.
Yes, I think the format. I mean, I don't really see the point of starting with a 10 shot, like a 10 stroke lead. Like it doesn't really make any sense to me. I think the whole purpose of like those points and stuff is so that you can get into those last few events,
Mhm.
not necessarily to start with 10 shots ahead of like the last five guys in that started even. Like it just doesn't make any sense how they came up with that. I agree. I think having something kind of like they do with like the college national championship or like the USAM stuff where you have stroke play and then you move into that match play format. Um, and maybe you just do it to where the points set up your seating going into it or protecting your seating, and maybe you can improve upon your seating just with how you play those first couple rounds, like maybe do something like that. But yeah, I mean, I just think the whole thing was just a joke. Like, I just don't understand why they thought this was going to be a good time to play it.
And the thing too is like when they started this, right, live wasn't a thing.
Sure.
Now live is just dumping money at anybody who wants to play in their league, right? I mean, they gave Anthony Kim millions of dollars after a 12-year hiatus. Like money's not moving the needle, so nobody really cares that Scotty Scheffler won $62 million this year
Yeah.
because John Rahm and Dustin Johnson, they made that in their sleep by just moving leagues. You
I
know,
well, did they, I mean they didn't make that much after their initial whatever their delayed payout or whatever is by Live. I mean, I think Scotty made
the
more money
casual fan
this year.
doesn't care when they made it. They all they know is
True.
DJ made $350 million going to live golf.
Yeah. So here's my thing. Do any of us care about the money that they make at this point? Because now we've got people like Scotty Scheffler winning $60 million, which is more than what most NBA franchise players make in a year. Right? Like, I mean, are some of the football players, I mean, there's great football players that are making 25, 30 million a year. And now we're talking about a golfer that makes 60 million and they're not filling a stadium. Like it just feels so unproportioned with everything that we're doing and we're throwing more and more money at it. Like at one point do they go, we have thrown so much money at golf and we're not getting the returns of
Return.
TV.
Yeah.
Like I don't understand when that
FedEx definitely can't be getting their ROI anywhere near uh, where it's like a sound business decision. First of all, everyone already knows who FedEx is, right? What are they? How are they benefiting from this?
well,
Just
I
giving
mean,
Scotty Scheffler $25 million at the end of the year. Like, good job,
people
dude. You didn't do
people
anything
weren't
for us.
people weren't even going out to the FedEx in Memphis. Like I know that that's where they're based out of and everything, but no one wants to watch golf in 104-degree weather with 80% humidity, like just walking around a course that
I don't even want to
listen,
play golf in those conditions.
yeah, yeah, and you're kind of used to it.
Exactly.
But you know what I mean? Like that just seems miserable for everyone. That's where I was going with like the heat and stuff like that. But it's like, okay, but Cam, to your point with opening week of college football, they can't change it because what are you going to do? Compete against Sunday of NFL?
No, they move it up. They play
Move
it
it up.
before.
I was saying you could push it back a little bit because at least the initial excitement is off. You're not going to get as many of the casual fans. If you
You
have to
take
choose,
Florida State. They just started 0-2. Half their fan base is like, yeah, the season's done, right? And
yeah,
that's not gonna be the only school that's the case. I would probably vote to move it up, and probably even change venues due to, like you said, nobody wants to go stand out in Memphis in 100-degree heat with 500% humidity. Like,
Yeah.
that's stupid.
I'm fine with some desert golf as it gets cooler.
Well, and that's my other thing too. Why does all the playoff golf kind of happen around that region? Like, why aren't we going out to the West Coast or a change of some sort? You know?
Yeah, no idea. Doesn't make any sense. I mean, there's tons of golf in much better climates that, Wyndham Clark's not sweating through his like peak polo. I don't know if you saw that on Sunday, but
Dude,
he teed off on number one and he was like already drenched. Like, I feel you, bro. That's me pretty much anytime I play golf. So I feel you.
but like that was really bad. That was like Lucas Glover status. Like
Yeah.
just, I mean, I didn't see him sweating through his pants, which is a positive thing, but like Wyndham Clark was completely drenched within that shirt, and it was like
hmm
it's not a good look. Like, what sponsor wants that? Like, oh yeah, go buy our shirts. You can sweat your ass off them,
Yeah,
and they don't
Yeah.
stick to you.
Look how
Great selling.
unbreathable this shirt is that Wyndham Clark's wearing with this brand name on it. Yeah. Not buying that. Come on. now.
I don't know. The $60 million thing of him winning. I mean, it came down to like what, $12,000 a swing, basically. Cool,
Made me feel
but
really great about my golf game and my golf experience.
I don't know. Like it was just it was such a good season, I think, of golf. Like there were so many cool things happening that it ended on such a mediocre, like just I don't even know what word I want to use. It was just such a mediocre ending that I was
It
so
was
disappointed with.
lackluster. There's nothing to it. It was
Yeah,
just
I mean,
boring.
I was in. I'm always a Scotty fan. I think like I love watching him just dominate, but at the same time, there was so many times when I'm looking at like Colin or even Sahith, like once he gave himself that penalty, I was like, shit, you're out of it. But he did turn it around. But it's like Colin,
He would have
Xander,
tied for
like, come on,
second if
guys.
he didn't give himself that penalty.
Mhm.
I know.
That's crazy.
And I think like, did he start behind everyone else?
Not everybody else. I think he started at like
He was
Maybe
probably
they're
under par.
one
Maybe
under.
4 or 5 under, something like that.
yeah.
So it's I don't know. I think that the 10 under thing's kind of dumb. I
I
think it's
never
played out.
understood that. Never
Yeah, I mean, I
understood.
think it's played out the last few years to have a little bit more drama, but you're also like we are watching Scotty Scheffler, who is, I mean, he's going to be the closest thing to Tiger Woods that we've witnessed in the last 10 years.
And that's like if he keeps this up for like 3 years, then you can actually like
Yeah.
make that
Like this
comparison.
is the closest year to a Tiger Woods
hmm
highlight
Dominant.
reel that we've ever had.
Yeah.
You know, like Scotty Scheffler just like showing up and it's like, yeah, he's going to win the tournament.
Yeah.
Do you think
Which
he was like thinking about, because there was talk about between him and Xander as far as like player of the year? Do you think Scotty even like heard it and thought, I have to show why I've been the best player and go ahead and close this thing out and win it? Or do you think he's just that much of a robot where
No, he absolutely was thinking about it.
I don't know. I think he's just like, it's a golf tournament. I want to go out and win.
And
I
I
want
want
to
to
go out
win.
and
see
win
ball,
it no matter
put
what.
it in the hole?
Yeah. White ball in the hole as quickly and as efficiently as possible.
I mean, he had some interesting comments about the Tour Championship, like later last week and then earlier this week. Like he's not a huge fan of it, right? Like he didn't like the setup, but I think it was also after him. I mean, last week he did not play well, right? Like
Right.
it was the one week where you're like, oh shit, Scotty's not even in this. And it was the week
Mhm.
where he didn't get arrested, right? And the weeks previous, it was because he got arrested. But like he wasn't in it, so he probably came in a little bit bitter. I mean, I think all of us would be a little salty coming in there and not having your A game. But then, I mean, once the
Opening
round
round
started,
66
yeah,
typically changes that. Changes that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Once the round started, he found his groove and he was, I mean, he was lights out. I
Well,
mean,
the course just seems so gettable for guys at that caliber. Like there's like no trees. It's
yeah,
pretty wide open. Um, And the rollback makes a little bit more sense after you see somebody, 10 strokes under par start, but 30 under par, like the ball rollback makes a little bit more sense because they're getting rid of trees. They're getting rid of these kind of natural penalties because what my take is this, the casual golfer, the amateur golfer, because they don't like it and they think it's uh, you know a bad golf course if it's tree line. Well, it just makes it harder for you. That's just why you don't like it.
Yeah.
It makes it harder for the pros, but their shots aren't way offline like most amateurs are.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
we're
you
getting
get,
rid of course defense, so now we have to think about rolling the equipment back.
but we got to remember we had the 30 best golfers in the world playing, like minus live players, right?
What
So
about the live players,
yeah, minus
Justin?
the live players, but 30 best on the PGA Tour playing. And I mean, honestly, you look at the scores, and I thought it was pretty cool to see. Like, I mean, I didn't love the fact that Scotty was up there at 30, but dude, Colin was playing golf like 66, 63, 67, 66. They
He would
start
have
out
won if they
even.
didn't have the
They start
handicap.
out even. Colin just won.
Yeah.
I mean, and then even Sahith to see that round. I mean, 67, he's two back on the first day, even second day, even third day, and he actually beat Scotty if they didn't have that because he went, he was, yeah, 3 under what he shot. Like that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it would have been cool, and that's where I think like the match play piece, and I don't know, I feel like I'm talking really loud right now, but um, like I feel like the match play thing would just make it feel like a playoff.
I, I don't mind the idea of match play being thrown in the mix. I don't know if I like it to be the last format, of the Tour Championship. I think if you do it maybe at the FedEx St. Jude and even the BMW, do it for the first two rounds there to help kind of narrow down the field. I don't know how this works. I haven't thought through it logistically, but I think it
Yeah,
does need to be talked about being in the mix at some point during the playoffs. I just don't know if I want to watch two guys go at it all day Sunday,
I'd
for
rather I'd
for the
rather
actual title.
you're telling me though you wouldn't want to watch Xander and Scotty go battle shot for
Well, part of
shot.
the match play would be there's it's not going to be Xander and Scotty.
It
All
could
you need
be.
is one bad round, right? Depending on the setup and format of the match play.
Yeah, but if they're
Play
going
better.
like
No, and I agree with that. I agree with that. But I don't want it. I think it should be. I don't mind the Tour Championship being stroke play and how they cut down the field to get to that being match play
yeah.
to
I
some
just
degree.
I don't know. I'd love to see it end because I want to see the best golfers in the world go at it like against each other. There's something about it. Like we all do it. We do it every Saturday and Sunday. We all play games.
Well, not
Well,
all of us.
not all of us. Not all of us. Put 73 rounds on our.
Oh, let's not
Again.
throw out the
Gin.
trash with everything. Jeez Louise. But like we play with friends and it's like, okay, let's play, Nassau or whatever, playing 5-5-5, and it's like match play. Do fun stuff like that. Like we're all used to it. It would be
Mm-hmm.
fun to watch these guys actually go out and have to play heads up for even if it was a quick round, like heads up for 9 holes. You got to play 2 matches a day and where you come out with points. At this point, we don't have any match play events on the calendar anymore either, which kind of sucks.
I agree.
This is the most
I'm with
silent
Justin.
Teddy has been. So
Well, I'm with Justin. Like, I think I would prefer. Cam, I understand what you're saying as far as like you might end up with Aaron Rye and Victor Hovland, who, I mean, they played fine, but
Mm-hmm.
they didn't have the same year that some of these other guys did, especially Scotty, and they end up playing to win everything on Sunday. But I think everything throughout the year, like it might end with those two guys playing to win the Tour Championship, but Scotty would still win, the FedEx
The
Cup,
FedEx Cup.
right? Just with all of his points and everything. And I think that would still be
More interesting.
more exciting, even if it wasn't, or it'd be better it wasn't on college football opening weekend.
Yeah.
But if you had something like that, leading up to it, I would probably watch that more than I would have watched what went on this past weekend.
Yeah, and it's not like going back to the college football weekend. Like you were in Georgia, arguably the worst state to try and have any other event outside college football at the time, right?
Yeah.
100%. The
Like,
college
what are we
football
doing?
in the South,
Yeah,
in the
South
South,
anywhere.
like screw the rest of the nation. You're literally talking about college football versus the PGA Tour in the southern states.
Hmm.
Like, I mean, it is, and I just go back to like, remember our SCO 2 years ago, Cam? Like, we have it in January every year, and it was Georgia, and everyone's like, I do not care what happens right now. I am watching this on my phone.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the same thing that probably happened this week. It's like, I don't even care about PGA Tour. I'm
Yeah.
watching my Southern football teams. I mean, you probably got some of that vibe, Teddy, being in Florida.
Yeah, I mean, I played golf Sunday, and like we went and like had lunch and stuff in the club afterwards. There was no golf that was being shown. It was all like replays of the games from the day before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this was like 1 and 2 o'clock. Like golf was happening.
Yeah. Like big golf was actually happening. Like
Yes.
a $25 million check was being handed out, and no
Yes.
one gave two shits about it. Which
There were 12
is the part
TVs.
that
It was
sucks.
just replays of the games from the day prior.
What if we, going back to like format for the playoffs, what if they looked at it as, rather than doing a 10-stroke, Scotty Scheffler started -10 on Thursday. What if they reset points and handicap it that way at the beginning of the playoffs? So like Scotty Scheffler starts with a 700-point lead, and then Xander's got 500, and so on and so forth. And that way, when they're going through their match play and the format changes that Pitchmark Collective is suggesting loosely, they they award points given your match. So you win your match, you get 100 more points. You have your
Mhm.
match, you get 50.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? And that's how they kind of track points throughout the playoffs. I don't mind. Like I think we went into Sunday right where I think two people had the ability to win both the FedEx Cup and the Tour Championship. There's got to be more. You got to have more options there to like for somebody to overtake Scotty, in my opinion. And I think like if you do match play, like somebody could just come out and beat the brakes off him 3 days in a row, and he's out of it.
So here's my like playing devil's advocate here. What if we think about Alabama for like the most dominant years that they had in college football, right? Even in the playoffs. We were almost all rooting against them,
Mm-hmm.
except if you're a true Alabama fan. Everyone's like, I would rather see anyone win except for Alabama just because they've won for, 10 years in a row, Rose Bowls, all sorts of stuff, right? So are we going through our Alabama season, or as the kids say, era of Scotty Scheffler, right? Like, is Scotty Scheffler that like dominant that at this point we're just like, all I wanted to see was Scotty Scheffler get his ass kicked on Sunday, so this was boring? Or are we going through, you know what I mean? Like,
No, I mean, I think I didn't want Scotty to not, I mean, he deserved to win. I mean,
he deserves to win the best season for sure.
Yes. And he was going to win the FedEx Cup, I think, regardless for the
There's a
most
long
part.
shot for him to lose it. Yeah.
But just the interest in the actual tournament was gone, and the Tour Championship was gone, because that was already like a foregone conclusion that he was going to win the FedEx Cup. So I think we're
So we
just trying to
almost
think of
we need to crown two people.
yes,
One needs to be for like end of the season, who had the best season, and then we need to have our,
Wasn't that like the player impact program, the PIP, which
Isn't that
Scotty's
all
going to get
based
another
on-
$10 million for?
Yeah, but isn't that all based off of like social media and who's bringing the most attraction to it?
Who's
Like,
generating the most interest for the PGA Tour?
yeah, I would argue that like Scotty doesn't generate most interest because most people I know think he is the most boring individual in the world. I personally like him, but
Twitter the morning he got arrested was pretty exciting.
that is true.
It
I
was-
remember just seeing a text right from Cam at like it was 5:30 my time, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm getting up.
Yeah.
Well,
Me and the
that
guys in
was
my office, we didn't work the first 3 hours.
Yeah.
Like,
that was like really when like a lot of my friends and like family were like, oh, he's actually like taking this podcast thing serious. So I had like 5 texts before I even woke up, like Scotty Scheffler just got arrested. I'm like, what are you talking about? No, he didn't. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And
I
my
thought that was
first,
like a joke.
I remember my first thought was like, is he actually like a wife beater or something? And he's not like this great guy.
I was so hoping that he got so drunk and did something just beat the shit out of someone or something, you know?
Yeah.
And
It's like
then it
no,
was like,
it was literally just a misunderstanding.
well, then you
It
watch
was a
him
nice
like
guy misunderstanding.
so
You know what I'm
meekly,
saying?
like, hey guys, help. Can
Yeah.
you help
Can
out?
you help
Oh,
me?
hey, it's all right. I'll just duck, guys. You know, like just like come on, man.
Yeah.
Throw a punch or something.
So we're all in agreement when it comes to the playoffs. Something's got to change. What sucks is, and if the PIF and the PGA Tour, baseline agreement has shown us, it's gonna take forever for anything to
Oh.
change.
Playoffs aren't changing
if
until at least 2026. So next year is going to be
yeah,
just
2025 is
brutal.
out of the question unless they do something they haven't done before, and that's like draw a hard line and like we're just changing it, like it's gonna
Yep.
change,
Yep.
which they don't do because they got to probably go through approvals. The players are gonna have a say. Like, what? First of all, why aren't we asking the players more about their take on how they want the season to look?
I don't think. I mean, those guys don't
Do we care
really
what
get
the
it.
players think?
I mean, I care about what they think, but like they're not going to go out on a limb and just bash what everybody else has already set up. Like it's the typical coach speak for the most part.
Yeah, it just seems like what is that player committee or whatever? I forget the. It just seems like they have zero impact on really anything.
They
So, like, why are
want
they there?
one thing. They want to make as much money as possible in the easiest fashion, right? So
I don't think that's true because a lot of them probably would have went to live if that's the case.
validity.
You have to imagine the top 30 people. The top 30 people who were just playing at the Tour Championship, most likely
got
all of them got approached. So if that was the case, I mean, Scotty would have made way more than $62 million just on the move alone. Maybe not in the tournaments, maybe not in the actual events, but on we'll call a signing bonus. Like, come on.
I mean, I think
would it shock you? Would it shock you if next year he goes to live because he's he had a great run. He's in the majors probably for like ever. Exemption wise. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily be shocked. I don't think it'll happen, but I wouldn't be shocked if it did.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past like Rory going or Victor Hovland.
I think those guys, like, it's almost easier now to go to live. I mean, you have like Tyrell Hatton's primarily focused on the DP World Tour for the rest of the year, just getting points to get plenty of starts for the next year.
Yeah.
In the majors and everything. I mean, it's kind of set up for somebody to do that if they really want to.
Yeah.
Here's the question: who would be the biggest shock for you to see like leave PGA Tour? Like we already said, like Scotty,
Brian Harmon.
You think Brian Harmon would be the biggest shock?
Just
because it'd be so out of left field. It's like, why?
He doesn't
really.
He's like,
they offered you how much?
There is golf.
Brian Harmon gets $75 million. Yeah.
Yeah. There's golf on the weekend as a football. I'm out PGA Tour. I'm going to live. I want to go
Georgia Bulldog guy, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, you can't really. I would be shocked. You're telling me you wouldn't be shocked?
I would be, but I'm saying him? Like big name. Do we see like
now you're saying Brian Harmon isn't a big name?
No, he's big in my world.
I thought Justin would be on the lefty train here, but
that's what I'm saying.
Brian Harmon in the dumpster.
No, I'm just saying he doesn't have the name recognition or the pull, and no one loves watching him play golf because all he does is Twitch the entire time. Like you guys won't even watch him. So him going to live does not turn the needle for live. Like who turns the needle for live moving forward? Like who do we see this fall? Like You know who I'm thinking turns the needle, just like John Rahm did? Xander.
Did John Rahm really turn the needle? I mean, it was a big name. Uh, Nothing's really happened since then. Like he just plays for Live now.
But nothing's
Yeah,
really happened between PGA or Live.
I'm
Right.
not watching more because of Rom. I think that for me personally, the only people that would actually make me possibly watch a little bit more live would be Rory. I, that's honestly, that's probably it. That's the only person. If
Okay.
Scotty went, like,
Rory.
yeah, that's crazy, but like, I don't turn on the golf just to watch Scotty. Like,
So
I
Cam,
would
what's
turn it on to
your
watch Rory.
I
what's
think it's
your
because
shocking
Rory's been
Live?
so ingrained with golf for so long. He's been
Totally.
such a big name. Like he's probably, I would say him, Spieth would probably be the two. Who'd be like, all right, maybe I'll tune in this week to Live on purpose. But even Spieth, like probably not nearly as much as Rory, for me.
So if we're talking about like tuning in though, honestly, Live.
Who would you say, Justin, besides Aaron Rye, who I know
Oh,
you're not going to say, but
Akshay
Xander.
Bhatia.
If Xander went, that would be like the biggest shock, and I think that would actually cause more waves than like even John Rahm. I think just because Xander's who everyone's rooting for right now. They're the guy who's
I mean, he's just
won 2 majors.
second best American,
Yeah,
right?
but I will also put it out this way: if Live did not have these weird schedules of when they were
I think they
televised,
play this week.
I was going to say, when is their next
12th,
event?
the 12th and the 15th, they play in Chicago, and then the 20th and the 23rd or something they play in Dallas. But
It's
if
not
they
timeout. It's not Chicago. Don't let people confuse you. They're in Bolingbrook, Illinois. It's like 35 minutes away from Chicago.
on their website,
Eh.
it literally says Chicago.
Is it
Yeah,
a
well, they're a
suburb?
bunch of
Is that a
liars
suburb
who
of
kill
Chicago?
journalists, Justin. You can't expect them to have much integrity, can you?
Are we safe?
Are we safe? Yeah. So if they change their schedule and if they could fix their freaking audio on the CW, I would probably actually watch more Live than the PGA Tour because dude, some of those names are just fun to watch. Like who
Well,
doesn't want to watch like DJ Brooks, Cam, like those names battle it out.
Cameron, Zach. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
I mean, Liv has something that they can use to their advantage as far as like the fall schedule on the PGA Tour sucks. It's always like just, I mean, yeah,
Nobody
you have
cares.
some feel good stories, but like the top players don't typically play. It's usually their off season, and Liv can kind of play wherever they want, pick whatever climate, and they have all the big names that are contractually obligated to play in these events. I mean, it kind of I don't really understand why they're picking like major NFL cities, but I don't know. Maybe it works out for them. I don't think it would.
So that actually brings up a good point. Do you think where we've been, I think Denver showed up pretty well, even though that probably wasn't the most ideal place for people to go, right? Like Cam, how far is Castle Rock? Like that's 45 minutes from
That golf
Denver,
course is 15 minutes from me.
but from Denver, like major metro where people would be like, "Oh yeah, PJ, we should just go check it out," right? Like
It's like 30
that's
minutes
what
away.
I think they should think about with the Tour Championship and some of those other courses, which maybe that's the thought process with Live, where it's like, oh, let's go to Chicago, big
Right.
metro, we can get people there. I mean, they have,
Dallas.
yeah,
Chicago in September is probably one of the best places on earth, just to put it out there. Like the city of Chicago, that is perfect prime time Chicago
yeah,
season.
I could agree
Liv's
with
not going
that.
to be in Chicago though, right?
But it's not in Chicago, it's in Bolingbrook.
Bubbling
Completely
Brook.
different forecast in
And
Bolingbrook.
who thought, I'm not going to say what just came in my head because it may not be well received, but, who thought these guys wouldn't have the integrity to, be honest on their website?
All right, so
Justin, did you ever answer who would have to be the guy to move?
Yeah, he said Xander.
I said Xander.
Xander. See, he doesn't do it for me. I'd be like, see, Xander, you just ruined because no matter what, the PGA Tour is going to hold more weight than live tournaments. Like Scotty winning, all these signature events, even if he didn't make nearly as much money as all these guys on live, like that, we'll call it legacy, is still there for the diehard
True.
golf fans.
What
And
about this? Like someone said Spieth. What if Justin Thomas went to live?
it would
I
it
just don't.
wouldn't
I don't
it
see
wouldn't
it.
surprise me.
Really.
Okay.
I mean, it
It
would
would be a
surprise me just because
shock
he's.
to me, but
Yeah, I mean, I just don't see
I just
him.
don't think it changes viewership. You know
No.
what I mean?
No,
Like just because JT's had such an awful like 2 years, but like shocking social wise, etc. Him leaving.
his dad would probably make him get a new coach.
Which would probably benefit him.
I
But
mean, it probably would.
Yeah.
no, his dad would probably be like, "Sick, dude, go make your money." I don't like.
I
No,
got
no,
old shirts in the pro shop, anyways.
yeah. I don't think JT would move the needle for me on Live, because they have Cam Smith, they have Brooks Koepka, they have. I mean, Phil Mickelson at this point is more interesting to me because he's on Live than PGA Tour.
We haven't
Because
even
now
mentioned Bryson yet.
yeah, and then even Bryson is more interesting because now they have the freedom to go on YouTube and do their thing on their own.
Yeah. I was gonna say like the YouTube thing with Phil is awesome.
Phil's
And
great at it.
Bryson's done a great job with that platform. I
hmm
mean, you can't
I
pick
mean,
two
he
better
had
personalities.
Donald Trump on his YouTube channel playing
And
golf. Like,
John
what are we
Daly.
talking about here? Nobody cares about John Daly.
Oh, everyone cares about
He
him.
had 45. What are we talking about here?
Yeah.
That had to be the most YouTube like watched YouTube
So
golf video ever, right? Like, there's no way it wasn't.
so I was talking so I took the kids out yesterday. My daughter with like just a friend on the team, and we were like we don't really hang out with them all that much, so it was like them trying to get to know each other before they go to regionals this week. And um he started going off on he was like, "Yeah, and Bryson had Donald Trump." And it was like politics aside, but the funny part is I have no idea what they shot, but I watched 3/4 of that. I didn't care about the ending. I just wanted to watch a lot of the
I
golf.
watched it all. I watched every shot.
I have no idea what they even shot.
I think they
And
shot like
it was
51.
fun. Yeah. See, and I didn't even care because I just thought it was cool content and it was fun. It was like a good time. Like I was like, I like this. This is great. And I don't care what they shot.
Yeah,
It was
like
hilarious.
I think that's the appeal of Live is like now these guys have the freedom and the time to do other interesting things in a modern day. Like PGA Tour, you're in and out every week, right? Like they don't
Yeah,
have
you don't
time
have the
for
time
this stuff.
for it.
They barely have time to be a husband and a dad. Like they're not going to go out and make a YouTube video.
Or
But
what?
The only time you see them is when they're with their sponsor,
I don't think
Scotty,
they even have the
TaylorMade.
ability to do that if they wanted to, Cam. I think the PGA
That
Tour
that
owns
too.
the rights. Like
It's
they
crazy.
can't put that type of content out there because the PGA Tour, when they sign on, they sign away the rights to those things. That's why the only like it's inside the cut or whatever it's called, like the PGA Tour shows,
Mhm.
like they're the only ones that get that kind of access because it's owned by the PGA Tour.
Yeah, but they might have a chance to win $10 million at the end of the year with the PIP.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. We're all in agreement. The playoffs as a whole need to change. I have to imagine that means the whole point system is going to have to adjust too throughout the season. Like I don't see how you change just the playoffs and not how we get to these rankings, right?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how it goes next year. I think you don't really anticipate somebody winning.
8 times, yeah,
Yeah,
half the
in
signature
all of
events.
the elevate. Yeah, all of the
Mhm.
signature events. Like you don't really plan for that. I think the plan was like, you might get somebody that wins two of them, but for the most part, it's going to be somebody new, and it'll add some
Mhm.
excitement. So I don't know. I think obviously they're not going to change anything next year.
I was
Um,
sorry, Teddy.
no, I mean that's it.
Yeah, no, that's the thing is like it's going to be a multi-year wait for any sort of change, anyways, and the landscape's going to be so different 2 years from now than it is, on September 3rd, 2024. I mean,
Is it?
We
So
could
was
wake up
it?
tomorrow and Liv and PGA could be in agreement. We could wake up 3 years from now and they're still talking
Yeah, I
about
was gonna say I think there's more likelihood to the latter than there is the
the 3 year
first
plan,
one.
which
Yeah.
would be ultimately like the 7 year plan at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I know Scotty's getting player of the year this year. I know Xander was fighting it, but like, is there a different player? Because I think if we take out the if we take out Scotty and him winning so many tournaments this year, which we've all agreed like that's not going to happen every year. And if it does happen next year, like I'll probably be a bigger fan of Scotty if he can relive the second year and kind of have that Tiger-esque 2 years in a
Mhm.
row. But who's like take out Scotty, take out Xander, who's like your player where you're like, you know what? I really enjoyed watching this player. And he played his ass off.
I mean, I liked Colin. I think he got off to a pretty slow start. I don't know if he was really, well, actually, yeah, you could say he was struggling for the first
Mm-hmm.
2, 3 months throughout the year. And then
Yeah.
there's kind of that progression to, really competing in some of the last two majors, and pretty much the last probably 3 months. I mean, he was up there on the leaderboards. So, I mean, I think he'd probably be your next in line as far as having as good of a year as those guys.
What do you
Yeah,
think, Sam?
I think someone pretty similar who just is a little younger. I would say Ludwig.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I think it's a very similar kind of take on what Teddy had. Was like he was in the mix pretty much every major, tons of tournaments. He didn't win this year, but he was around. I mean, he did it all on a torn meniscus, which he's getting repaired. Like they just announced. Like I mean, he
Yeah.
was hurt the whole year. That's who came to mind for me. I would even say a rookie who won twice, won before
Hmm.
he was even a pro, Nick Dunlap. I would say that's a pretty interesting storyline. Who, I mean, he locked himself up for what the next 2 3 years to be playing in the PGA Tour before he was even a pro golfer.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's a little bit of a stretch probably, but I mean, those are the two names that kind of came to my mind were those two guys.
I mean, I would go with Thagala. I think Sahith had like it was an awesome roller coaster to watch.
Yeah, it's funny too because him and his dad have the exact opposite effect on golf fans than Justin Thomas and Mike Thomas have on
Hmm.
golf fans, right? Like his dad's just out there rooting it. Did you see his dad was rooting after he made this putt? Kid goes to give him a high five and he's just high fiving pretty much everyone else around him, and the kid's like, "All right, well," just really funny. I like that take though with Sahith and just the year he had, and he's easy to root for.
I would even throw, and this one's probably going to be a little bit more controversial, but I really liked Adam Scott this year. He put himself in the mix in so many different tournaments, but he's the older player, but he
Yeah,
was
I'm
he was
never
in it.
gonna I'm never gonna talk shit if somebody mentions Adam Scott. Like, I think he's just a class act, and like I would love for him to just win
Teddy,
everything.
your sound's going out a little bit. And now he's irate.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would agree. It was cool seeing like a kind of the old timer, in the mix. I mean, he was top 25 on the money list this year, which is like a pretty, definitive ranking, right, for the PGA Tour.
Yeah. I mean,
And
he's
then,
tied for fourth in the FedEx Cup. Like, I mean, that's
mhm.
got to be doing some stuff for that to happen. Made $4.7 million this year, 2 runners up and 5 top 10s. So no wins, but I still think it's a pretty solid year.
He has how many cuts made in majors? Isn't he that guy with
Oh yeah, he
everything?
is. Like, was it 290 or some
It's a
crap like
lot. I
that?
don't think it's
Like, it's
290, but
It's
it's a lot.
20 years worth.
Yeah.
yeah.
So, no, that's a good call out too. I don't think you're gonna get too much hate for that one, but we'll see what the what our fans think. Justin's
There's
an easy target a lot, so
yeah, it's valid.
um, I would say too. I mean, especially after the win, at the Saint or at the BMW, I think Keegan's got to be up there, right? name the captain. Whether last year's whole or the last Ryder Cup team situation played into it. He was named captain of the Ryder Cup. He played his ass off in the playoffs, won the BMW. It's named cap. Like I think that's a pretty good story. Storyline for the year.
Only for the last quarter of the season.
Correct.
Tell me what Keegan Bradley did in the beginning of the season.
He played golf. I mean, he was
That's
top 10 money list. He made almost $7 million.
Yeah, no, I know all of that. I mean,
Do you?
but I'm just saying, like it's like he didn't really do much at the beginning of the season. He crushed it at the end of last year, but he wasn't in contention for very many tournaments. So I'm gonna get ripped for that one because I bet there are some tournaments that he was actually in contention for. So,
The Sony Open, he was tied for second.
Sony Open doesn't count.
AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am tied for 11th. So let's just count top 25s. How about we do that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
How many of those are backdoor top
7,
25s?
8. I'm not going to do all that. Come on now. But I mean, Wyndham Championship, or let's go. So tied for 11th, the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am, tied for second, Sony Open in Hawaii. Masters Tournament, tied for 22nd. Wells Fargo Championship, tied for 21st. PGA Championship, tied for 18th. Charles Schwab Challenge, T2, tied for second. Wyndham, tied for 22nd. BMW, 1. Tour Championship, tied for 21st. Now, 30 players. Little less weight there, but I don't think he had that bad of a year relative to majority of the PGA Tour players. Now it's a lot of tour players, right? But I don't think it's as bad as old Justin over here was making it out.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying like he wasn't in the spotlight and there wasn't projection out there. So
He missed 4 cuts out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 22. So he went 18 for 22 on cuts made. That's pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, I look forward to him being a player in the President's Cup. I think that'll be fun. Obviously, he's on that line. If he keeps playing the way he is, and next year is a good year for him, he could. Do they choose him as a playing Ryder Cup captain?
I mean, wouldn't that just be his decision?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a
Can't
lot.
he pick himself? I don't know.
I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of behind the scenes that would have to happen for that, but
Yeah.
I mean, we kind of talked about it last week. I don't think he's got that dog in him to do both.
yeah, that would probably be a lot.
There's probably only a handful of people in the history of golf that would be able to pull that off, and I don't think Keegan Bradley's that guy. I would love to see it. I would love it if it was his sole decision to be like a playing captain. I would love to see it. Like, yeah, dude, like go put yourself out there.
Well,
Fail
when was
if
the
you
last
fail.
time we saw a playing captain in the Ryder Cup?
Nobody?
I don't remember one, so I don't know.
I feel like
Just Google
Jack or somebody had to have.
Right. Arnold Palmer was the last playing captain in the championship.
Okay. Yeah, so not
1963.
even in like, not even 1963. That's crazy. So
Oh yeah, I remember watching that.
yeah,
Yeah, dude, that was a good one. Yeah,
That was a good one. I almost forgot about that one.
those
Yeah.
persimmons were going off.
Well, you mentioned the President's Cup, and they just announced that the teams are finalized. Justin, you had made a comment in our quick pre-show meeting, our 30-second pre-show meeting, about how a lot of people were snubbed on the international team, and I was a little curious to ask you.
Yeah. He said snubs and that just like the international team was awful.
I didn't say that. Oh my gosh.
You made it seem like it was going to be a quick and easy victory.
Yeah, was somebody at the international team and let them know that Justin think they suck?
Which, if history tells us anything, The U.S. is screwed. That's what Justin is going with.
So you're telling me Cam Davis doesn't belong on that team?
Cam who?
Cam.
Who are you taking off the team for Cam Davis?
Well, I mean,
I see
Zadenhout,
one guy.
Connors. You're gonna put Connors in front of.
He's a Canadian. They're playing
Yes.
in Canada. You
I
got
Absolutely.
know.
What are you talking about?
Cam Davis has played better than Connors in the last like 5 events.
Possibly.
Are you just
Okay.
pulling these stats out, or like
Mackenzie
you?
Hughes. You're gonna. I mean, again, I get
Mackenzie
he's
Hughes is the
Canadian.
only one when I just scroll through it. That's the only one that I'm like, yeah, sure.
I
Cam
would
Davis
I would
probably
agree
over
that
Mackenzie
he's the
Hughes.
only one that could be in the conversation of being replaced.
Taylor
to people who
Pendrith.
aren't.
Yeah, he's
He
staying.
won one tournament, but on a weekly
I mean, he
basis.
won. He had a solid year, but like, come on.
I can't believe Cam Davis got hosed on that. So,
We got
and
hosed, Davey.
but
We
you're
got
also
hosed.
saying like, okay, so on the international team, Hideki, Sanjay, Adam Scott, Tom Kim, Jason Day, Ben on, like, right, those are your first 6 picks with the most points. But then you go Corey Connors,
Yeah, taking him.
Cam Davis had more points than Minwoo Lee, who got picked, Zadenhout, who got
Taking
picked,
Minwoo Lee.
Taylor Pendrith, who got
Minwoo is a match play guy, isn't he?
But
Yeah.
I'm not saying like Minwoo out of them. But then they skipped
I
over.
mean, you
Nick,
named him.
shut up. They skipped over Nick Taylor. They skipped over Adam Hadwin, and then
Yep, skipping
you've
over
got
both those guys.
Siwoo Kim, who went, and Mackenzie Hughes, who went. And Mackenzie's at the very bottom of that and got picked over Cam Davis. I mean, even Nick Taylor and Adam Hadwin. And if we're arguing that it's Canadian, Adam Hadwin and Nick Taylor are both Canadian.
Yeah, but Adam Hadwin's not good.
He's got
I think-
more points than Pendrith and Mackenzie Hughes.
If you look at like the captain's picks, like I think the international team beats the U.S. team. I mean, Max Homa is a shell of himself right now. Russell Henley plays well in like the most rain of events. Brian Harmon,
Or he
who's
shoots
going to live
9 under par at the tour championship. To,
right.
like,
That's what I
make
mean. Like
$5 million.
He just like it's just so random. Some of these events that he competes in. Brian Harmon's going to live, so he's not even going to be on the team. Finau, I don't even know what to make of him, honestly, on a week-to-week basis. Sam Burns I can understand. And then Keegan, I mean, he's hot right now. I don't know.
There's one captain pick, 2 captain picks I'm not necessarily a huge fan of. Henley being one. I mean, yeah, he made the playoffs. He top 10 the tour championship after an incredible 9 under par on
There was
Sunday.
a few tournaments he got DFL, and we picked him.
But Homa has been so bad this year. Like, I get it, he's a match play guy. He's probably a big locker room guy. But you got to out. I don't think that outweighs. I don't like it.
I mean,
I don't like it. I just don't like it.
Furyk is coming from the Ryder Cup where Max Homa was probably electric. And then you also have Brian Harmon, who was his partner, if we're remembering Ryder Cup. So, I mean, I could see him going like, I want that dog in my fight. You know what I mean?
I will say I'm slightly surprised that. Hold on, let me just scroll up.
I am surprised Wyndham Clark got the pick.
No, he auto qualified.
He's auto.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that we don't see JT on here with his just overall match play, skill.
Him and Spieth.
Well, Spieth's out. He had surgery.
Oh,
he had wrist surgery last week.
He didn't text.
But I'm taking JT over Russell Henley and maybe even Finau. No questions asked, just based off that alone. I don't know. Can you opt out? Maybe he's like, don't call me because I'm not coming.
I'd probably take JT over. I mean, I hate to say this, but I'd probably take him over Harmon.
I would probably agree with that.
For the name recognition and just the locker room and I mean, JT gets out there and like wants to fight. And Harmon, I love the guy, especially being a fellow lefty, but he's a little bit more of a quiet, keep to yourself type guy and just twitch on the tee box.
Yeah, maybe maybe the plan is to just slow play whatever team you put Harmon up against. Just frustrate the hell out of them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but you are all, the first 6 picks of the international team make total sense with Hideki, Sanjay, Adam Scott, Tom Kim. He didn't really play all that great at the end of the season. Jason Day fell apart the last 2 tournaments he made it through. I mean, obviously he didn't make it to the Tour Championship.
Jason Day played well all year though.
Yeah, he much better than he had in the past, right? I mean,
Yeah.
he had a great season, but it was interesting to watch him. Like, he's going through like a Max Homa moment, right? Like, he going through some changes and trying to figure some stuff out. So I would put Jason Day and Max Homa probably in that same category right now of where they're playing.
It's gotta suck for a guy like Jason Day to just know he'll never play in a Ryder Cup. Like the President's Cup is as good as it's gonna get for him in that aspect.
Yeah, but I think didn't he like a couple years ago kind of mention, because I want to say it was maybe 2 or 3 years ago, but it kind of came out that like, I mean, he's set, his family is set.
Like he's
Like that's kind of all that matters to him right now. Like, yeah, if he wins, cool, but like he's happy and content with everything that he's done, and is just kind of out there going through the motions. I remember that coming out, and it just seems like that's not quite the case now, or else he wouldn't be working like as hard as he is.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that Malbin deal had something to do with it. I don't know. But it just seems like he's kind of got this like rejuvenated outlook on his career.
How does a brand like Malbon get a player like Jason Day away from Nike?
Probably give him a little bit more freedom than Nike would. Maybe Jason Day's always been a more, when it comes to his golf attire, desire something like Malbon compared to Nike, which was solid colors, early on, right? I mean, as of late, they've branched out and done a little bit more, we'll call like eccentric designs that are typically terrible. And maybe he's got the freedom now with Malbon and making, okay, maybe it's a fraction less money, but I imagine they gave him a nice chunk of change.
I mean, I can't imagine Malbon being able to compete on the money side with Nike.
Well, I doubt Nike may not even been paying him that much, considering.
I was gonna say they probably have everybody at a certain number.
Yeah, we look at Nike and Tiger. They paid him over $1 billion in his career, right? But everyone else was making chump change. Maybe Brooks Koepka was making pretty decent money, but I mean, if what Teddy's saying is true, like he's good, like why stick to someone you don't like if you can go out and be your own individual in that case?
I mean, he does have kind of that personality with the little bit of flair to it now with Malbon. I mean, everyone wants to see what the hell he's going to wear this week.
I mean, he wore that. Malbon couldn't have asked for more press than what happened
at Augusta. Yeah, no one even cares how Jason Day played. They just know that
we just wanted to see the fit.
Yeah, they know that the vest and the freaking like hammer pants that he wore.
And now Malbon's got one of the fastest growing podcasts in the nation talking about it. Like, let's just, those stats are unconfirmed for the listeners, but we appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
We're still waiting for Caffeine TV to show us our ratings.
Oh gosh. Yeah. So, I mean, we've talked about a bunch of different things that happened, but there was one thing that happened at the Tour Championship that Cam, I know you and I were watching the Creator Classic.
Mm-hmm.
Teddy, you were probably stuck.
I watched the end of it. I think I turned it on the last hole. Like when everybody was hitting into that part. Was it par 5? The last hole?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cam has something to say apparently.
Yes, Cameron.
They should have let these creators do what they do best and commentate while they're playing. You get what I'm saying? Like, we shouldn't be walking down the fairway with Dan Rappaport and
Well,
whoever
he is a
being interviewed.
creator and he is commentating. Like
He's the
I thought he
worst
did.
part about foreplay. He's the worst part about
Well,
foreplay.
what was funny
Hot
was
take right there.
who was one of the commentators? Something Marsh or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I turned it on, he fumbled over his words. He was trying to say something. He said fart and then like quickly like corrected himself and moved on to something else.
Yeah.
But like that's all I could think about for the rest of like the 5 minutes left until it ended. I was like, this guy just said fart, and they didn't even talk about it.
Yeah.
Like with all of those people, nobody called him out. Like, hey man, did you just say fart?
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
it should have been a little bit more real, a little bit more conversational almost,
Yes.
instead of just like your typical golf broadcast.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
like, no, like let these guys do what they do best, and like that's literally play golf on camera, like for viewership. Like that's literally what they do. They get viewers.
Yeah.
Right. So why are we not hot miking Bobby Fairways and Fat Perez? Why are we not like hot miking even Luke Kwan, who ended up winning it? Like he can say some pretty funny stuff, but like we didn't get that. We didn't get the creator feel of it. Yeah, they were playing, but it was still kind of your typical PGA Tour broadcast.
We got an amateur PGA Tour broadcast,
which overall I think it did better numbers than like most of the live tournaments this year. Like I think this was a good way to show that like YouTube golf is here. These guys bring in viewership, and I don't expect this to be like the last event of like this, in the next few years.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's so new that they probably just wanted to get a product out there, and they'll probably refine all these little details. Like, okay, let's have, because I mean, I watched like Garrett Clark after he made that 9. I think he went live
on Instagram. He's like, well, just made a 9.
Yeah, and he went live and he was walking down the fairway, literally talking about it. I'm like, that was pure gold. Like that was hilarious. It's like some days you got it, And honestly, truthfully, I watched most of the Creator Classic without any audio. So just because I was working on a spreadsheet and doing something else, and so I'd look over, pay attention to it a little bit, keep working. I had it on, and it's probably not the best thing to admit in the world, but I had it on a few calls where I was like looking over and I was like, oh, cool. That's what's going on. So.
Listen, if it's like a big tournament, like I got this screen right here is dedicated to the golf stream. Like calls don't matter. It's out.
Yeah.
But that being said, like I thought it was pretty good for their first go around. I don't think you can have somebody who, as Teddy says, is a professional golfer. He's part of one of the biggest YouTube channels in the world, golf-wise. Wesley Bryan. He was the heavy favorite, and I get having a favorite, but why not just make like it had to be Wesley then George, right? Pre-event as the two favorites.
Yeah.
Right. So why not have Wesley on there? Like why not have George on there? Put Frankie Borelli in, to replace to make the numbers, instead of Wesley. And then that way, like it truly is like a creator who that's how they've made their bones in golf to win. And luckily a true creator did. Like Luke Kwan has played professional golf. Luke Kwan beat Scotties Scheffler in his last collegiate event. Just saying. He's pretty good at golf, but like he is a YouTube golfer. George Bryan, or Wesley Bryan, I would say is a YouTube golfer more than a pro golfer. Teddy doesn't agree with that. I don't know. But I thought it was pretty good overall. It took way too long. I mean, it was like 5 hours. It's 9 hours.
Yeah, it seemed like it was on a very long time. I assumed it was already over. And then when you guys were talking about it and I got home and turned it on, I was like, holy shit, how are they still not done?
Yeah. I think Roger Steele should have went driver like everybody else, because he hit 3-wood and put himself in a crappy position where he couldn't go for the green in 2
Mhm.
and just hit.
The guy was blowing smoke with 195-mile-an-hour ball speed. That guy
Yeah, he's good. I'll probably
crushes
check his stuff out. He can
football.
play.
So in last week's episode, I said he's just not my style. After watching 195-mile-an-hour ball speed and actually seeing the guy play, like I was like, damn, all right.
He's a Chicago guy too.
Are you sure?
Confirmed Chicago?
Or does he just say that and he's actually in the suburbs?
I haven't confirmed. I don't know if he's a Bolingbrook guy, but he says Chicago. All right, I'll confirm. Just not right now.
So we didn't talk about the points, which we did something for the Creator Classic, which I'm pretty happy about this. Like I was the closest one to picking the winner.
Who'd you pick?
Sean Walsh.
Oh, and he made the playoff.
Yeah.
Which
He
I
made the
also thought
playoff.
was kind of dumb. It's like you could have 8 good holes or 8 mediocre. I don't know. It was weird.
Yeah. George Bryant for Teddy. Cam, you picked Brad Dahlke, which I think Brad Dahlke was actually a solid pick, based on like experience, etc. But
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean Teddy won the season long race. We didn't have a playoff style thing here, so he had it locked up pretty 2-3 weeks ago, pretty much.
Yeah.
We still haven't decided what the reward will be, but that's something we'll work on. But Teddy's the first ever Pitchmark Collective season long race winner for Pick'em.
So Teddy ended up with 24 points because he picked Morikawa for the win. Right? Or no, he picked
Picked
thought-
Xander.
Xander.
I
So he
thought
got
Burns-
Xander, and then Sam Burns finished, and then my pick was Ludwig, who didn't finish all that well. And then last place for this last week, I actually got Aaron Rye as the lowest finishing. So instead of being at 13 points, I was actually 15. I was making a comeback to catch Cam, and it just, it's only a few picks off.
Yeah. Teddy, how does that make you feel to be the first ever winner?
The first couple weeks when we were doing it, I feel like you were kind of running away with it. I feel like you picked a winner with like the first or second tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought you were going to run away. Justin and I were going to struggle.
You picked 2 winners in a row, though.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
I was
okay.
just kind of happy that, I was able to focus in. I think I paid more attention to the guys and kind of how they were on a week-to-week basis. And hopefully, I made some money for our viewers and that they, listened. I'm happy. I can't wait for my prize, whatever that is going to be. Once we decide that. Cam, you mentioned a cookout gift card. That would be great.
Do they have cookout in Jax?
No,
No.
they don't. There is one in Georgia.
I will buy you.
You know what we should do? Hold on. We should just treat him and his lady friend, his girlfriend, Brittany, to a date night, and we should get them a gift card to Biscottis.
Oh, yeah, you have a Scotties too. We talked about that, right?
I love Biscottis.
I don't have one of those.
No,
It's-
we
I
don't have
didn't know-
Biscottis. No, it's not a chain. I went to the one in Jax.
Oh,
We spent a few days in Jacksonville before we went on our cruise for our honeymoon. And one of the places we went for dinner was Biscottis. And it was delicious.
it is really good.
I told Teddy I'll buy him whatever he wants at Cookout as long as he meets me in North Carolina next week. And he said no.
Yeah, because you told me last week.
I told you 3 weeks ago.
It's still pretty short notice.
As if it's like this huge difference maker.
Mhm.
3 weeks is a long time. I can make anything happen in 3 weeks.
That's true. You were able to move a meeting today with 30 minutes notice.
We did. All right.
That's dedication.
I think that's probably going to wrap us up for today. Be on the lookout. We're coming up to the lull season of the PGA Tour and golf in general. We're trying to get some interesting guests on from all walks of life and experience in golf. So be on the lookout for those episodes. We got one queued up that will be coming out probably in the next couple of weeks here with somebody that Justin knows and plays golf with. But be on the lookout for that. We appreciate everybody listening. We're the Pitchmark Collective on Instagram, YouTube, and Spotify. Give us a like, a subscribe, a follow. Tell all your friends about us. Like I mentioned earlier, the unofficial fastest growing golf podcast in the world. We appreciate you guys listening, and we'll catch you next time.